All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back to the X Zone, everyone. I am Rob McConnell, coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streamed around the world on classic1220.ca. If you'd like to send me an email, if you'd like to share an idea you have, if you'd like to share an experience you've had, or maybe you have a guest you'd like us to bring on, it's very simple. Just type in the old email address, xzone@classic1220.ca. My guest this hour, X Zone Nation, is Tara Greene, and she is a high priestess, natural-born psychic, and remembers her past lives and multidimensional origins. Internationally renowned Canadian tarot card reader, astrologer, woman spirituality, dreamworker. Tara hails from the king or queen city, I don't know what we call it anymore, but the city of Toronto. Joining me now is Tara Greene. And hey, Tara, welcome back to the X Zone.
Hi, Rob. Welcome. Yeah, thank you so much. It's really nice to be back. It's been quite a while.
It has. So what have you been up to since you and I last chatted on the airwaves?
Oh, I'm always busy. I'm doing readings for clients all over the world. I'm doing lots of events. I've been teaching workshops and things like that, and writing, trying to finish my book. So yeah, very busy.
Now, since COVID, have you found a difference in the way that people are asking questions or the information that they're seeking?
Well, there's a lot more people that are way more anxious. I mean, I know I speak to a lot of clients. A lot of people are on medication to stay calm. A lot of people have lost their jobs. Many more people are working at home. I often do like live events. So a lot of those event planners either ended their business or, are just kind of getting back into it now. Because I know that I had a very busy Halloween and Christmas party season, which I hadn't had since like 2019.
So, Are people still asking the old favorites, am I going to find Mr. Right, or, am I going to get that new job, and these kind of questions?
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, those are, constant standards,
Staples, yeah.
But I find I have people are willing to go more deeper. I think a lot of people have kind of woken up a lot more. I think one of the side effects, a good positive side effects, is that people are waking up and they're questioning more, and they want to do things that are more intrinsically, spiritually valuable to them.
You also teach. Now, what kind of courses can people take from you?
I teach astrology courses. I do live workshops, usually aligning with the moon. I do a live free presentation every month on Facebook for the Cosmic Intelligence Agency, where I preview the month ahead, and I do live tarot readings, and that is very, very popular. So, people can get in touch with me for that. I'm teaching astrology courses, and I'm on TikTok and all of the social media these days too.
Right. Now there's a major eclipse coming up this April. How is that going to affect people?
Well, okay, astrologically speaking, I mean, generally a solar eclipse affects everybody, but if you're in the X zone, literally where the eclipse path is, there's a shadow that's 80 to 100 miles wide, and if you're right on the path of that shadow, and it's going to be a very long eclipse, the eclipse is going to last about 4 minutes. I mean, you can go to the NASA sites and all that and look that up. But if you're right in that path, and it's going to go from Mexico right across Canada, the U.S., and there's actually an X marks the spot at San Antonio, Texas, you have to go to Niagara Falls or to Belleville or Montreal and out east to be right in that zone of the eclipse shadow path. So if you're right there, I recommend that people do that. You're never supposed to look at an eclipse. It is astrologically at 19 degrees of Aries. So if you know your astrology, you would look at, is that affecting me personally, right? So you would have to look at your own chart and say, what do I have at 19 degrees of Aries? If you're born April the 7th or the 8th, then you're going to get hit by that eclipse, and it affects your life for the whole year ahead. But, it is very powerful. There was one that crossed the U.S. also last year October the 14th, 23, at the opposite 21 degrees of Libra. So there's a big X. And also there was the big eclipse that was visible across the U.S. in 2017. So actually that makes another X crossing in Georgia.
Wow.
In South Carolina. So again, those people, those places, actually, interestingly enough, in Texas, where the X is where SpaceX is, where Elon Musk's SpaceX is. So I think that's very funny that that's such a big alignment. So there's obviously going to be big new opportunities. Eclipses, solar eclipses bring in more conscious events, things that are visible, and they're traditionally associated with the death of kings and queens.
Prince Charles, King Charles.
Leaders.
Yeah. Ouch.
Yeah.
So it seems that this is going to be the year of the X.
The year of the X, yes. Very much so. And it's a leap year as well.
Oh, that's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Right, it's a leap year. So, you get to kind of play February 29th, day out of time. It's always a special day, especially if you've marked something. It's, every 4 years you get to do that again, right? But, there's going to be four eclipses in total this year. So not just April the 8th, but that is a big one, again, because it's visible. It doesn't happen that often that a country gets to see eclipses like within a certain number of years, because of course they're visible sometimes on the other side of the earth or over the middle of the oceans or something like that, right?
So with your wisdom, with your ability as an astrologer, a psychic, a spiritual teacher, a high priestess, what do you see as happening in the world these days? Why is everything in such a kerbuckle?
Well, because we're moving into a new age. You've heard about the age of Aquarius,
of course,
from musical Hair in the 60s and all that. I believe that actually today is interesting, what we're talking on this day. I believe that the age of Aquarius is starting now, although nobody has an exact date when it's supposed to start. So today, the planet Mars, which is the planet of action, men are from Mars and women are from Venus, that old thing. Mars is meeting up with Pluto later today. So this is a very big deal and very dangerous. But it initiates again, December 21st, 2020, we started a new 200-year cycle of these planets meeting in only air signs. They met in only earth signs for the previous 200 years. So Mars and Pluto meeting today at 0 Aquarius hasn't happened since 1779. And so we're initiating the age of higher consciousness. That's what Aquarius is all about on its highest level. It is what's called a fixed air sign. So we're moving into the age of high tech, of revolution, of people power, of people working together, collaborations. A lot of people are going to want to up-level their consciousness into the cloud. There's all that robot-y thing going on, right? Like transpersonal stuff. But because it's a dual sign, like all the air signs, which represent both sides of our mind, there's going to be one part of humanity that wants to go to Mars and wants to do all that techie stuff. Another part of they're going to get right down to, no, we want to establish a new kind of consciousness, like humanity is waking up to our full potential and people sharing power. There isn't going to be any more monarchies. That's over because Aquarius is opposite Leo. So for the next 20 years, Pluto will be in Aquarius. It entered the end of March 2023. It just entered again January the 20th. It will make one last pass. This is an important time. From September the 1st to November the 19th, and during election in the U.S., Pluto will make one last pass back into Capricorn, where it's at the most powerful degree. When planets are at the last degree, and of course all astrologers, or most astrologers, still see Pluto as a planet, they are the most powerful. So Pluto entered Capricorn in 2008 and initiated that, mortgage subprime banking crash. And I believe that Pluto is going to exit the same way.
Ouch.
So I'm predicting a big, bank crash, financial change during that time. So that's why we're living in such chaotic age, and we have to embrace it. It's like out with the old. Aquarius is like the sign that comes after Capricorn, which is traditional. And in traditional astrology, the planet Saturn, which we honor on Saturn's Day, rules Capricorn and Aquarius. So for the next 20 years, we want to honor history. We don't want to totally, get rid of it or banish it or pretend it didn't exist, because you have to learn from your past.
That's right.
But we want to up-level it, right? So we want to reinvent things. So this is, get a makeover, for everything.
Tara, I'm sure there are young people listening to us tonight, and they're saying, hey, wait a minute, Rob. Did Tara just say Pluto, as in planet?
Yes.
Because Pluto was degraded by the scientific community, that has no effect on the astrological charts, does it?
No, because I mean, I laughed. I think I actually channeled Pluto after that happened and went, "You don't fool around with the Lord of Death." You know what I mean? So Pluto, to me, not all astrologers use Pluto in a personal manner. I do. I always have. Pluto, to me, is the most powerful and profound. It rules the soul. It rules the riches. It's the Lord of wealth. So Plutocrats, right? So people who get very wealthy have very strong Pluto energy in their natal charts. So yes, Pluto is still considered a planet, and I still believe it will be designated as that as well, because they keep discovering more and more, bodies in the solar system and changing that designation.
And people who do not have the influence of Pluto in their life become radio people. Yeah.
Well, everybody's influenced by Pluto, but it's true. Some people have missed this transit, but it's very rare. I speak to thousands of people a year. Most people are under these very devastating, life-transforming Pluto transits, right? And it's a good thing. It can hurt a lot at the time, but it's a good thing.
Tara, I've got about 2 minutes before I have to go to my break. Quickly, if somebody is adopted and they don't know their exact date of birth, or the date of birth on the adoption certificate has been screwed up, how does this affect that person?
Well, they were still born on a day. They just don't know. Now, there is techniques that astrologers use, and there's astrological programs to find that out, because you would look at dates that certain things happened in their lives, and that usually aligns with the planets. So there is a way to find that out.
So you were basically an astrological detective at that time.
Well, a lot of astrology is detective work, and it's mathematics traditionally, which was a subject that I hated years ago when I was a kid. But it is a kind of sacred geometry, right? No, it's very techie. Astrologers are very nerdy. They're all about research. They're all about finding their own way to define things, really.
Well, I've always said the quality of a psychic or an astrologer or anyone who deals with divination of one sort or another has a lot to do with the integrity of the person. And Tara, you are one of the very best. And Exonation, if you'd like to contact Tara here in the Toronto area or anywhere around the world, I believe Tara does online readings or one-on-one consultations. www.taratarot.com. That's TARATAROT.com. And Tara, you and I have to take a short break, but we'll be back on the other side as we continue here in the X Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell, from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streamed around the world on classic1220.ca. And welcome back, everyone. Tara Tarot is our special guest. Her website is www.taratarot.com. That's TARATAROT.com. What has been your most awe-inspiring moment in all the different facets of work that you do? When people basically put their hand out and say, Tara, can you give me an idea of what is going on with my life?
Well, that happens a lot, actually, and I feel very honored and very privileged to do that. It depends. I have to have confidentially with my clients, but Well, I think, remember, once I was actually in Niagara Falls at an event, and at those events I'm reading very quickly for people, and I usually, I don't remember because I'm trying to get through as many people as I can.
Sure.
And I don't usually do health stuff, and a lot of psychics don't do health stuff, but honestly, I am a very good medical intuitive, even though I don't advertise that. But I was there one day, and a woman came up to me, and she said, it's because it was the second year I was at the same event. She came up to me, she said, "Oh, there you are. I'm so glad to find you. You saved my life." And I went, "What? What are you talking about?" And she said, "I met you a year ago at this event," because it was a corporate event. And she said, "And you told me that you don't usually say this, but you felt that there was something going on in my breasts and I should go and have it examined." And I did. And they found out there was an early tumor, and I had it removed, and now I'm fine. And so that was really, really rewarding to me. And I've had a number of people say that to me. Also, I do a lot of women trying to get pregnant. I do a lot of fertility possibilities. And, if I use my intuition and the astrology and the tarot cards, I usually tell them they're going to get pregnant. That's been pretty successful. And just clients really opening up, people really, being a tarot reader is kind of like being the modern confessor, because people trust you. And I have, clients I've read for 10, 15, 20 years. And, they come back to me and they reveal everything, and I help them. I hold their hand, and sometimes I have to kick their butts a little bit too. But, it's a relationship, and it's very powerful. So I feel very honored. I take this responsibility very seriously.
And that's what makes you who you are, Tara, because you do take it very responsibly, and you do care about the person, just not the reading, like so many other people who are astrologers and psychics. All they're interested in is the ka-ching, ka-ching, and you're interested in the bump, 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 bump of the heart.
Right. Yeah, and actually just yesterday I did a reading with a client, and I could feel the vibe, you know what I mean? Like when I'm doing that, I get a vibe like I'm channeling. When people get a chill up and down their spine, that's like the soul kind of awakening. And I got that, and she felt it, and she said, "Oh my God, I can feel it. I'm feeling it right now, actually, as I'm saying this to you." And I get usually a tingling on my crown chakra, right? She felt that vibration. So I'm sending that vibration out to the world right now when I get the opportunity to do that. And yeah, there is a lot of commercialization and pop psychology and pop, everybody's an astrologer because it's so popular these days, and tarot readers, and not to deride anybody, but there is a lot of miscommunications and misinformation out there as well, and people don't know. They're just naive,
But how do they get to know, Tara? How do they get to know?
Okay, I think it is because serious astrologers, and there's a lot of younger ones now too, who know their stuff and take it seriously, and you have to kind of weed through it all, I mean, you have to kind of go, "Oh, is this really true?" I have to verify. You have to kind of do your own research, and not take everything at face value. Because I have seen a lot of fake, hokey stuff. I tend to respond to it a little bit on TikTok if I feel people are really off, because a lot of young people are very naive about this and, ask me stuff. And luckily, I have a Gen Z daughter who's kind of into astrology these days. She asks me stuff, Oh
my gosh. Has it been that long?
Yeah, my daughter's actually, her birthday's in February, and she's turning 26.
Oh my goodness. Oh my, well, belated happy birthday.
And I'm a grandmother now. Oh,
come on. You're way too young to be a grandmother.
No, I'm not. No, I'm a grandmother. I have a beautiful little grandson. He's going to turn 18 months old, actually. He's such a delight.
Oh, I can hear the pride in your voice.
Yeah, he's a sweetheart.
People are talking more and more about dreams these days than I could ever remember doing the show over the 30 years plus I've been doing it. Is something happening to the human psyche where people are dreaming more and the dreams are more precise?
Well, again, astrologically, I would say that because of the planet Saturn, which rules things that are real, tangible, is in the sign of Pisces, which is the sign of dreams, lucid dreaming, spirituality, psychic energy. So it's been there since March the 7th, 2023, and it will be there until, actually, I just wrote about this, 2 years today, on February 13th, 2026. Saturn will enter Aries for a bit and then go back into Pisces. Let's see, where are we here? May 24th, it actually enters Aries for the first time, May 24th, 2025, and then finally enters February 13th, 2026 for another 2 years. So the interest in dreams, yes, I have a lot of clients, especially, actually this just came up in a reading last night. There was literally the card of the Empress, which represents the mother, and the card of Pisces. And I asked my client, have you been dreaming about your mother? And she said, yes, my mother just passed in November, and she's coming to me in my dreams. And so, yes, if you have loved ones coming to you in your dreams, that is real. You know, people and pets, when they pass on, they will come to you in dreams. So people, I think, are dreaming more because they're just more aware. They're more conscious. I really think there is an up, even though the world is in a crazy, chaotic state, there is also an up leveling of consciousness and people's interest. You know, there's so much information on the net.
Yeah, as well as misinformation on the net.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. You touched briefly on your daughter's birthday or your granddaughter's birthday is in February, or was it your daughter?
My daughter's
your daughter.
Birthday is in February, yeah.
Hey, tomorrow's Valentine's Day. What can people expect?
That's right.
Yeah, happy Valentine's Day.
Well, happy Valentine's Day, Rob. I know this is probably going to be put on another couple of days, and today is actually Mardi Gras for those who celebrate. I think they're celebrating in New Orleans, and I always wanted to go to Brazil and to Rio to the Mardi Gras. But it's going to be a crazy day, and I'm telling people not to celebrate Valentine's Day tomorrow because of this crazy, chaotic, kind of wild energy. There's also sunspots going off, which are going to make people feel off. So if you really want to celebrate Valentine's Day with the planets, you would wait until the 22nd, February 22nd, which is a very powerful day for me, when Venus and Mars come together in the sky. So, you know, the Hermetic saying is, as above, so below.
Right.
So you will want to watch the stars come together. They're going to be at 6 degrees of Aquarius, still in Aquarius, but I would say, the energy is kind of too crazy. The next couple of days, Venus is going to enter Aquarius on the 16th and meet Pluto on the 17th. And then the Mars and Venus come together. So that's a classic. That's a real Valentine's Day. So wait till the 22nd.
What I did was I had a funny feeling about Valentine's Day. You know, just something just didn't fit right with me. You know that gut hunch you get? Mm-hmm. So what I did was I took Laura out to a beautiful Mandarin restaurant here in St. Catharines. We had a great meal. Then she loves bingo. So that was her Valentine's Day gift, you know. Dinner and bingo.
Dinner and
bingo. And she had a great time. And I think that people need to listen to their gut feeling or those hunches that too many of them just spur off. Mm-hmm. Now, over the years, you have done so much. Past life regression. Mm-hmm. Do you do that as well?
I do. And that's an important thing also with Saturn and Pisces for people, because Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. So collectively, with Saturn and Pisces, now this is tropical astrology. You know, there's different types of astrology. It represents karma. It represents the 12th house. I know the Taylor Swift song Karma. But, you know, you want to finish things off because of that new beginning that's going to start when Saturn enters Aries. And also, February the 20th, 2026 initiates a brand new age, spiritually, psychically, energetically. So this is like go into the 12th house where Pisces is representing the 12th sign and clean out the closet, do your past life regression, you know. I work with all my clients using their astrology charts to look at what they were in a past life. And to, you know, actually help people to connect with those old memories and patterns that are holding them stuck in the past that's affecting them now, but they're not aware of it. You know, we can see the patterns repeat, and that's a significant, way to tell what's going on, what the pattern is. You know, what were you in a past life? What trauma? That's where you really go to do the trauma releasing.
But how do you find the date of birth of your past life?
Well, there's different theories about this. Okay. So generally what astrologers use is there's something called the north and south nodes of the moon, which is one of the few things that astronomy and astrology still use the same term. So for example, all these eclipses are caused because of these north and south nodes of the moon. And if you go look at NASA or Earth Sky or whatever and look at the eclipse on April the 8th, they will say it is a north node eclipse, right? So these are points in space where the moon intercepts what's called the ecliptic, which is the apparent path of the sun across the sky. So only when the sun and the moon align very closely with these nodes, which move backwards in the zodiac every 18 plus years, can an eclipse occur. So the north node is called the dragon's head traditionally. We're in the year of the dragon.
Yes, yeah.
So it's always called the dragon's head. The south node representing past lives is called the dragon's tail. So this comes from India, where of course they, we attribute them for inventing, reincarnation, karma, all of this. The dragons are used in China as well. So they saw it as the dragon eating the sun. When a solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse would happen, they would call it a dragon eating the sun. So your south node represents past lives. So there's not exactly a date, although you can do a chart for that. There's a type of astrology called draconic astrology. But you would look at what it means. So for example, if your south node is in Libra, like it is right now, you would have had a past life where you're very much related to other people, to your marriage, to your partner, to social status, to being an artist, a creative type, to being a communicator or a counselor or a judge even. Libra is the scales of justice. Or you might have been judged yourself. So as I would go into talking about those, what those words kind of mean to somebody, they would then associate, how that feels to them. And it's an energetic thing. You will feel it, you know what I mean? Like in your gut. And you would be able to kind of follow that lead. So when you go into a past life regression, you would follow those leads and help people open up those memories.
All right, let's talk more about past life regression when we come back from this commercial break. Our guest exonation is Tara Tarot, and her real name is Tara Greene. I just call her Tara Tarot because that's her website, TARATAROT.com. And she is in Toronto, and she does online consultations as well as in person. And by the way, if you're ever having a corporate event and you want to blow your people away, get a hold of Tara. She does a great job. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, on your hometown radio, Classic 1220. Don't go away.
I don't know where I'm going, but I sure know where I've been. Hanging on the promises and songs of yesterday, and I've made up my mind. I ain't wasting no more time. Here I go again.
And welcome back. Tara Tarot is our special guest exonation. Her website is taratarot.com. Past life regression. I understand that some people believe that they can also, when they go back, they can find out that they have been not only on this planet, but other planets, other dimensions. What is your take on that, Tara?
Oh yeah, no, I think that's very possible because, like, for example, I always felt since I was very young that I understood that I was a multidimensional being and could kind of sense all of the different things that were going on in all the different dimensions. So yes, that's very likely, and I think there's, especially on your show, there's a lot of stuff about ETs, and
Yes.
and that's something also that I think will be revealed more because Aquarius is, like in the tarot, associated with the symbol of the star, and it rules astrology, Aquarius, actually. So one of the 9 muses, Urania, was the goddess of astrology, astronomy. It was always once the same topic, and being an astrologer and astronomer and actually being a doctor and a mathematician were once the same job description. So, an interest in ETs and people being able to connect in multi-dimensions, also with the interest in quantum physics, I think that's also something that's very likely. And also that's something that I do in my astrology readings because I do something called galactic astrology, where you look at these certain points in space, where you're connected to different constellations and different stars and even different galaxies.
What are some of the past lives that you have had?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Well, I remember being burned as a witch in a past life since I was very young. And the evidence of that was so obvious, like literally people would call me a witch since I was a child, right? And I kept thinking, I thought it was just because of my crazy black hair that I had. And but I remembered that, and then I did a lot of holotropic breath work. Now, breath work is becoming very popular again, a different type of breath work. But holotropic breath work was something that was started by, oh God, I've just forgotten his name, Stanislav Grof, who invented this in the 70s, an alternative to help people experience spiritual things without drugs. He was one of the first people to work with LSD experiments with Richard Alpert. So anyway, holotropic breath work, and he's still alive, Stanislav Grof, he's in his 90s, but it's done with music, very loud music that's programmed, and you lay down and you just breathe, and it's not any fancy breathing, and you'll remember your birth. Some people remember past lives. And so that's, one of the ways that I accessed a lot of past lives. And I did a lot of hypnosis. When I lived in Sedona years ago, when I moved there in 1987, for the first time, I did a lot of hypnosis. And in that, a lot of past lives came up. So I remember being a high priestess. That's why I say this, in many past lives. And also, when I've gone to any ancient sites, I remember full-blown memories, like the first time I went to Stonehenge when I was 17 years old, and I went to Ephesus in Turkey, and I went to Crete, went to Greece. I remembered, and to Egypt also at that time in 76. All of these memories of being there, I knew it, and people treated me like they knew me, like I totally belonged there, right? So, there's those memories, and I do have memories of being on I'm connected to the Pleiades, which is a star system that a lot of channelers also bring down energy to and channel from. And what else have I been past? And then, I remember,
Wow.
I was a poor pioneer woman who was raped, somewhere in northern Ontario. So I've had, a lot of difficult, people always talk about I want to be the Queen of Sheba or whatever in my past life. But, there was a joke by Robin Williams that, who's the cleaning lady, you know what I mean? Or,
Yeah.
Nobody ever, I think that he was channeling that he thought he was Abraham Lincoln in a past life. And he said, no, I was Abe Linkman, the janitor. That was the Robin Williams joke. But anyway.
Oh, heavens.
So also, I remember I was a Native American man in a past life living in the Southwest. So when I first moved to Sedona, which is a very high energy place, I couldn't sleep there. I had a terrible time. I could feel where the energy started for me from driving in from Cottonwood, Arizona. There was a radius, and I had to go out often because I couldn't deal with the energy. And then when I had this past life, I worked with a woman shaman, Araya Mountain Dreamer, for many years. I had a soul retrieval done, and in that ceremony, it was revealed. She channeled all this information about who I was, what my name was. And then I worked with a woman who I'd gone through my transformational psychotherapy training with, and she was, in the past life, I was a man, she was a woman, and we were in love, and we met each other in this life, and we both remembered that. So, and we recalled like other past lives in Atlantis and things like that. So, I could go on and on, but, I think everybody has a rich inner life and a lot of these memories. I mean, there are some new souls that come in, and you can see that as well, but many people have many, many past lives going.
I was just
thousands
reading
and
something
thousands
that
of
you sent
years.
us here where it says, I had my first conscious OOB at 12, and then at 17 I was shown the meeting place of the elites and how the world is run. Okay, take us into your OOB.
Well, actually, that happened when I was 12. When I was just sitting there. I think I'd just gotten a pair of glasses, and I was sitting on the floor watching television, and I kind of gazed at my eye, and I could see the reflection of my eye. And the minute I did that, I suddenly felt this big whoosh, and I kind of jumped out of my body, and I was sitting back on the couch looking at the back of my head sitting on the floor. And I kind of went, oh, what was that? I kind of got a little scared, and then I went, okay, I'm kind of in two places at once now, all right. And then I kind of willed my etheric body back into my body, right? So when I was 17, though, I had a lucid dream where I went to this big war room, and it's just like in Dr. Strangelove kind of thing, the classic war room, big boardroom table with all these men, and they're smoking big cigars, and they were from all different nationalities, and one of them was going, okay, so you be the enemy for a while, we'll have a big war, and then we'll make a lot of money, we'll build your country back up, and you be the bad guy, and we'll be the good guy, and then we'll switch, and then this will happen, and then we'll do this, and they're all laughing when we're going to make billions of dollars, and ha ha ha. And I went, oh, okay, so that's how it works. All right. So I was, totally convinced. It's my experience that was so real. I just went there, right? And I went, yeah, it's all pre-programmed. They're all working it out. They're like on a whole other level. They don't really care about people. They only care about money, So it was pretty,
eye-opening,
pretty shocking in a way, but yeah.
Who knows? That seems very plausible to me. That
was a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
I think people are more aware now, but I was just a kid, right? I was 17 years old going, oh, okay. I mean, I was always kind of interested in politics and history, but I went, oh, okay, they've got it all worked out, and it's just behind the scenes. They're running the show. It's just like a little chess game to them,
A lot of people are now saying that this life of ours is actually a life in a matrix, where this is just another form of reality, that what we're experiencing is all part of the matrix. What is your opinion on that, Tara?
Well, I think that could be true. There are so many different levels and dimensions going on at the same time, and it really is, it's really about tuning in your consciousness, just like a radio show. Mm-hmm. People are dialing into this radio show. In Indigenous teachings, they have something called your assemblage point. And your assemblage point is like the dial that tunes into the particular vibration, and everything is about vibration, like Tesla said. So, what you're tuned into is what you're going to hear, So you have to learn to consciously tune into what dimension, what vibration I want to hear, and to really keep that up, because I find that, living in the city, for example, there's just, all this static from the cell phones and the microwaves and the, EMFs. Today, actually, the next 2 days are going to be bombarded by big coronal mass ejections from the sun that, affects the electromagnetic frequencies of the earth. There's something called the Schumann resonance that the earth puts out and affects the toroidal energy from the sun to the earth. So, you have to keep your energy very high. You have to meditate, you have to drink, you have to eat really pure food, as clean as you can, and water as pure as you can, and really keep your energy up, and really try to filter through this, because it's extremely distracting. I think the internet, as much as it's a gift and it's wonderful, it's also incredibly distracting.
I'm sure my listeners are saying right now, oh, he's going to say that thing about the internet. Yeah, I had Pastor Harry Walther on the show many years ago, and he said, Rob, 666 is not the sign of the beast. I said, what is, Pastor? He said, WWW.
He's right. I mean, it's great. I remember, I was very lucky to have a very spiritual astrology teacher who was into all these secret teachings. And I remember, this was in the 80s, he had a computer. He was an artist. He was one of the first ones to have a big computer. And he said, this is magic, And the fact that you can have all of this information available to you, that was once secret knowledge, is like crazy,
How do you see the advent and the introduction of artificial intelligence going everywhere? How is that going to change the world?
Well, that's a bit scary.
Yeah.
I really think people have to be very careful, because you won't be able to tell the difference, like now, you can program yourself to visualize anything. And I think they just came out with some new expensive goggles you put on or something, and people are going to escape into that world and think that that's real. That's a real danger. That's a bypassing reality. I think people are going to have to get more discerning, and more careful, and really say, this is a tool. We're going to use the tool. The tool is not going to use us, and there is a danger of, the science fiction thing, the robots are going to take over and all that stuff, because it's true. Yeah. Once they get to what's called the event horizon, they're all connected. They're all going to talk to each other. Can you unplug them? I just watched 2001 again the other day, and going, well, all you had to do was disconnect the computer, right? Actually.
Duh.
So it was pretty simple. Pull the plug, But that's another thing, I keep thinking a big solar storm is going to come and just wipe things out, which will be kind of a good thing, in a way, because people are going to have to learn how to
communicate.
It's good to communicate, be practical, know your neighbors, have a little community. That's what Aquarius is all about, your communities.
Just imagine that. What will the kids do without their iPhones? It's going to be
that's
hard
important.
on them.
They don't remember things. We used to have to debate. Do you remember this? Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
Where do you get this information? It was a hunt. You had to do detective work, right?
But by using this technology, are we not dumbing down the future generations of tomorrow?
Yeah, in some way, because do they do math anymore? Do they even write by hand anymore?
No, they don't.
No.
No.
So, I mean, you can get overloaded. Although I had a spiritual Tibetan Buddhist teacher
Hey,
years
Tara,
ago.
I'm going to have to ask you to hold
Yeah,
that
sorry.
thought because
Yeah,
we've got to go on a
okay.
break. Exonation. Tara Tarot is our very special guest this hour. If you'd like to get a private one-on-one consultation with Tara, visit her website at taratarot.com. I'm Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone, a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard, Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m., I wish, 10 a.m. till midnight, right here on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streamed at classic1220.ca.
I ain't wasting no more time. Here I go again.
And welcome back to the X Zone on your hometown Classic 1220 and streamed around the world on classic1220.ca. My guest this hour is Tara Greene, and her website is www.taratarot.com. First of all, great having you back on the show, my friend.
No, thank you, Rob. It's wonderful to be back. So nice to connect with you.
Yeah.
And the Exxon.
And the X Zone, yes. I was just going to ask you more about past lives, but time is so valuable here. Let's talk about numerology.
Okay. So each year, as the calendar year changes, of course it's 2024, you would numerologically add up each of those numbers. So it reduces to the number 8. So the number 8 we just started the Chinese New Year of the dragon. The number 8 is considered the number of good fortune and good luck. So that, goes for everybody. So the number 8, I relate the numerology to the tarot. So when I read for all my clients, I always have their birth date, I do their numerology. So the number 8 in the tarot, though, can be signified by 2 different cards, one of which is the symbol of justice, which is like Libra energy, the scales of justice, right? Mm-hmm. And that's all about balance, right? So trying to stay balanced in Tibetan Buddhism, or in all kinds of Buddhism, it's always the middle path. You know what I mean? So you want to stay balanced, not getting pulled into that, black, white, good, bad, kind of that's going on in the world, right? So you want to stay even keel, middle, justice, balance, peace. You have to be the peacemaker. You have to be at peace within yourself if you want to see peace on the outer world. So the number 8, justice, also relates to relationships. Libra is the sign of relationships, traditionally the sign of marriage in astrology as well. So relating to others in an open way. It's an air sign. Communication is important. The number 8 can also be the sign of strength in the tarot. So like Leo, the lion. So Leo is ruled by the sun. So power, courage, daring, willpower. Leo rules the heart. So again, staying in your heart. The heart is really what knows, and again, in Buddhist teachings, the heart is really the brains of the body. The brain itself is just like the operating system of the computer, but where you really know is in your heart. So I really advise people to stay in their heart, and that's where you're the strongest. And Leo is all about drama, so things can be very dramatic. It's also the sign of the child, like playfulness, so remembering to play. And trying to balance the drama, and also, be strong, be courageous, fight for what you want. You are the star. Every man and woman is a star. That's an old saying. I know there's all the gender stuff, but anyway, you're all stars. So you need to show up on the world stage, all the world is stage, and create your own dream, create your own, what you want to see, So I think, that's all really important. So it can be a very good, a lucky year. I'm not an expert at Chinese astrology. That's a different system. But, you would also want to look at, to do numerology, you would add up your birth day and month. So Rob, when is your birthday?
April 27.
April 27. Okay, so you would add 7 and 4. Sorry, 27 and 4, which is 31. And you'd add that to 2024, and that tells you what year influence you're going through personally. So you're going through a number 3 year. So 2055 is the total, and it reduces to 12 and then to 3. So I'm just going to use the lowest denominator there. So the number 3 in the tarot is called the Empress. So the Empress is like the planet Venus. So this is a very creative, very much about love and nurturing, and she's usually shown as a pregnant woman or Mother Nature, so very giving, very helping other people be creative, and really, nurturing abundance. It's a very positive, loving year. Venus is the goddess of love and beauty and harmony in the arts. So for you personally, Rob, you're going through a number 8 year. So
it sounds like I'm going to have a great year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and by the way, I was born in the year of the dragon, so I'm a dragon on top of that.
Okay, so this is a big year for you then, right? Going through the year of the dragon, right? Yeah.
We'll see.
So, yeah, you got to breathe some fire there.
Yeah. A lot of people are also talking about the importance of meditation. Mm-hmm. How important is meditation, and do we really need to put as much focus on it as some people within the spiritual and New Age arenas think we should?
Yeah, I think it's very important because, again, there's so much information coming at us. If we don't kind of get silent as much as we can, try to get silent, to listen to ourselves, to listen to our inner selves, to listen to our hearts, it's very important. Now, some people say they can't do it. And again, astrologically, I would say certain signs have more trouble than others because their minds are too busy and active. But it's really just about breathing. And again, Aquarius is an air sign, so it's about breath. And all you have to do is remember to breathe. It doesn't have to be fancy. You don't have to sit in a lotus position. For some people, if they're water signs, I would say get into a bath and have a nice long bath and just turn your mind off and just let that water cleanse you. For other people, it can be working out. People who run, they get into that high. That's a kind of a meditation zone because you're not in your thoughts. You're not in your ego. The thoughts are our egos going. You want to so you're observing your ego. Okay. So I think it's really important to maintain your own energy and balance and just situate yourself. Where am I here and now? To make yourself fully present.
Is it possible that people meditate without even knowing it?
Oh, yeah. Anything you get absorbed in. I don't know, you like to tinker with your car, or, you get absorbed in music or art, or even washing the dishes if you kind of like, or, just sitting, looking out the window, zoning out, X zone, zone out.
I love the branding.
That's a form of meditation.
Now, you deal with women's spirituality. Is there a difference between male spirituality and woman spirituality? Yes, very definitely. Actually, I think the whole way we think of spirituality is totally masculine oriented, and there is a whole different system that women need to use, which they're just kind of rediscovering, which is working with the womb. And that the womb itself is a very holy, sacred place. It's the only place that a soul can manifest into the physical world. So it's a totally different direction. You don't want to go up. The ascension, going up, is a masculine thing. For the feminine, it's coming down and into the body. So coming from in the sky, coming from the universe down into the body, that's the feminine form of spirituality. I know a lot of New Age people are into ascension and all that, but you're not really going anywhere. You know what I mean? And also, you need to be here on the earth. Yes. Kind of, right? We need to be manifested here and now. So I think for women, it is a totally different path. And women are just discovering it. And I think there's also still a lot of misunderstandings about that as well. But it's because it's kind of new and we're kind of remembering it, right? So people are kind of feeling their way through it and trying to find connections to past systems, which has largely been obliterated. Like the books were burned and nobody remembers. Indigenous people have, lost their connection to a lot of their intrinsic teachings. It's this time in our existence that we all have to do what we can for the betterment of Mother Earth. Because no matter no matter what color we are on the outside, no matter what religious philosophy we're part of and believe in, at the end of the day, we're all one. We're all us. We're all, and to watch the news, to watch the hate, to listen to the negativity, we're just working against ourselves and hurting other people of this great planet that we live on. And when Mother Nature gets ticked off enough, watch out.
Yeah, no, that's true. Also, a number 8 year is a destiny year. It's a karmic year. When you turn 8 on its side, it's the symbol of infinity. So it's very important for people to stay in that nexus and that little point at the center of the two loops. That's the now. That's being in the present. That's, someone taught me that was what enlightenment was all about, was about staying in that present where it crosses that little X there, actually, in the middle of those loops. That's the infinity point.
John, I've got about 2 minutes left. I want to talk to you about your ET encounter in Mexico.
Okay. That happened February 22nd in Isla Mujeres, a long time ago, 1979, with my future ex-husband.
Hey, wait a minute. Hold on here. You're a psychic and you didn't see that coming?
Well, it was karmic. I was told, that's a whole other story. I was told to marry him the minute I really looked at him, actually, by my spirit guides. And I went, what? Are you kidding? This guy? But anyway, we were meant to be together. So we were on a beach with a woman from Germany who was going to go see Osho at the time and go see this psychic seer, Maria Sabina. And we saw what we thought was a falling star. And I don't remember who noticed it. And we were totally sober as well. And so, falling stars usually burn out. So this one didn't burn out. It just stopped in the middle of the sky and it started to wobble. And I clearly saw it make an infinity symbol. So it went from this center point down to the left and around, up, and then came back. And then it started to get bigger. And then we realized, oh my God, it's coming down. And my ex-husband, Larry, started to freak out. He thought it was aliens and there was, cattle spoon, with no blood in them. And I went, no, this is the miracle I knew I was always going to see.
Right.
So this star comes down and takes the shape of a bird. And it starts flying towards us, still sparkling like a star. And I could sort of see that it had like wingtips, like an eagle, but it had a small head. And as it flew in over us on the beach, over the island, and flew into the light of the town behind us, it totally turned into the jet black shadow. So the only way you could see it was it was totally cloaked at that point. It was jet black and we could see it against the sky. It was darker than the sky. So we watched it kind of fly around and then we went, oh, okay, is that it? And then we picked it up again, sort of further down, and it came wheeling around and it came back out. And as it flew from the light of the town over our heads into the night sky, it went ping back into starlight. And then it flew back up to the sky in like 1 split second and disappeared.
Fascinating story. Tara, I want to thank you ever so much for joining us tonight. Please don't be a stranger. My very best to your husband today.
Right.
And
thank you.
I can't believe your daughter's 26. Wow.
I know.
Take care of yourself, my dear friend.
Okay,
and
you too. Thank you, and blessings to everybody.
Hey, blessings
thank you
too.
so much, Rob.
But one more time, let your listeners know your website.
Yes, it's taratarot.com.
Tara.
TARATAROT.com. Thank you.
My pleasure. Take care, Tara. And
Okay.
Exonation, that's it for tonight. I'll be back tomorrow night at 10 o'clock as once again we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And as you all know, we come to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until midnight, right here from the studios of Classic 1220 in St. Catharines, Ontario, and streamed around the world on classic1220.ca. So until tomorrow night, take care of each other, tell your children you love them, give them a hug, and always remember to keep your eyes to the sky and your heart to the light. Good night, everyone.